Well, hello there. Welcome to another episode of The Power of Surrender with Hugh, where every day we take a card from the Power of Surrender deck by Dr Judith Orloff, and we discuss it for inspiration and food for thought for you guys out there at a very challenging time we are living through on our planet Earth right now. So today's card is a fascinating card. I have a lot to say about this and a lot for you to think about. And it's a card of surrender your ego. Now, the human ego gets a lot of bashing, and it tends to be talked about in a very negative way. I think we all have an ego, and it can be quite a healthy thing at times. I think it's just when the ego gets out of control and gets bigger, as big as a small planet, then you have a problem. So let me tell you what it says here about the card, some fascinating insight. And the first part of it is cultivate gratitude, be of service to others, come from your heart. And this is balancing the ego. I would say cultivating appreciation as opposed to gratitude, but that's just I'm a big fan of Abraham Hicks, and they talk about this, a couple of videos, they talk about the difference between appreciation and gratitude. So I've very much become an appreciation over gratitude person, but it's, for the sake of argument for what we're talking about here, it's, talking about the same idea, which is, to cultivate appreciation or gratitude, to be of service to others, and to come from your heart. Because in developing gratitude or appreciation, in coming from your heart, in being more mindful of other people and those around you, you're not throwing yourself under the bus or saying that you're not important, but you're just being mindful of other people around you. Because you're doing that, you're kind of keeping the ego in check, and this is so important. And as it says, to be of service to others. This is something, there's so many things about my acting class that are popping up now when I'm reading this. These are things that my teacher was wanting to cultivate in people, for them to stop and think and be more appreciative of the things that they do have, to be of service to their fellow actors, and then obviously, as it says here specifically, to come from your heart, do things with passion and be authentic in your pursuit of your dreams. But this is, this applies across life. That's just part of the things that are part of the discipline and the perspective that my coach was talking to us about. His name is Mark McPherson from Studio 24/7 in Los Angeles. It says, a big ego can work against you, but humility will further your goals. So there are some times when people can be very confident, and it's funny, I was watching an interview recently with Robert Downey Jr. talking about Iron Man, and he was talking about going in to do the audition for that, and he psyched himself up into believing, I am the only person for this role. I'm born to do this, and he hadn't normally done something like that before. And Tony Stark, as he talks about, is the way that Tony Stark is not who Robert Downey is in real life. But he talked about like where ego goes too far, and where it becomes counterproductive. You have to have confidence to a certain point, but it can't be. I think he described it as there has to be confidence in the pocket, and I thought that was a really good way of describing it. So you have to be like in the zone, confident, not too much, because when the ego gets too involved, like, yes, I am magnificent, aren't I? I mean, that's exaggeration, but when the person gets a little bit too cocky, it can rub people the wrong way. And look, my teacher used to say to us, it was in a book that we used as part of our acting class, called Acting Class, Take a Seat. And in there it talked about that 80-90% of acting and being a successful actor is actually getting on with other people. You think about it, you're on sets for 16, 18 hours a day, sometimes longer, and you're working with the same people day in, day out for 6 months. there is a level of discipline, and you need some humility, and you need some personality to be able to deal with that kind of situation, because it's not a usual situation for people to find themselves in. So people who are bitching and moaning and complaining and being difficult over a period of 6 months in that kind of intense situation are not going to make many friends, and people are not going to want to work with them again. And for me, I hear stories of, for example, Tom Cruise, who might be arguably one of the most successful actors, entertainers of all time. And you think about the longevity of his career. I don't think there's anyone, bar maybe, I think it's Clint Eastwood, or whose careers have lasted that long. And of course, Clint has gone on to be a director as well. But one of the stories that keeps coming up about Tom is that on set, for every member of the crew, he has time. He'll listen to. Of course, he's professional, and he does his job. But for the lighting people, the sound people, all the people who are behind the scenes, he always has time for them, is respectful to them, and that kind of thing kind of trickles through the whole set. And again, this is going back. I'm jumping into acting examples here because it's a world that I know. But this goes through life as well, where you're bringing that kind of like, we're all on the same page here. I'm not on some big high mountaintop above all of you all. Even though everyone knows Tom Cruise, he's one of the most famous people in the world, and of course on some levels he is on a different level than everyone else. But the way he sees it, and he recognizes it correctly, is that making films or TV shows or whatever is a group process. And this is a situation where you have to work together as a team, and life is the same type of thing. And it doesn't matter what your job is, or it's situations you might have in your family or in relationships. If you get a little bit too cocky and too much, I don't need anyone, I'm fine, and this kind of thing, you push people away, and people don't want to be around you. And so this whole idea here of surrendering your ego is, because, not everyone has to deal with ego being out of control. But for those people who do, it's just such a powerful thing to acknowledge and to surrender. I'm going to read it just one more time before we wrap up here. Cultivate gratitude, be of service to others, and come from your heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will further your goals. Now, I just want to say about this is not, I feel, saying that humility is the winner and ego is the loser. I think it's just saying that keeping a good balance between humility and ego is really the way to go, and to come from your heart, to be sincere and authentic and genuine. And people see that, and they recognize that, and they were like, oh, I really like working with that person, I want to work with them again. Or you go out on a date, or you go to meet somebody, and they go, what a decent human being, what a nice person, and they were caring and thoughtful of me, and not just thinking about themselves. And this is where the power of surrendering your ego is so great. Because it's not just about you. We're all connected, my friends. We're all one, and we are not just a solo act on the stage of life. So I hope that this card brought you some, and my conversation here about it brought some inspiration and food for thought for you. I will be back here again tomorrow for another card for our daily show here. And of course, please remember to check out my daily cards on Instagram as well. Just go to Instagram under Hugh, Hugh Readings, Readings, Hugh Readings, one word. And check out my daily readings there as well. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday, and I will see you tomorrow.